kids like me do a lot of risky things because they can.
My first memory after my accident was waking up in the hospital. It's super scary. Felt like I was just this new baby, and here I come into this second life.
And let me tell you, it's hell.
Snowboarding's given me a lifestyle, a way of life. It's given me everything that I have. I get to go out and do what I love to do and push the limits of my own body. Like when I hit a jump, it feels like time stands still in the air. You're just like... And it's that feeling that I love every time. That's why I do it. It's one of the best feelings.
As a pro rider with big name sponsors, Chris Duffy gets paid to play, as long as he plays hard.
Over the years of injuries, I've had multiple concussions, broken wrists, broken thumbs, broken ribs, punctured lung, compressed vertebrae, 3 ACL surgeries in the same knee, broken toes, broken fingers, cut scrapes, minor stuff, but yeah, pretty much does it.
Chris grew up in Kamloops, where his parents, Tony and Kaz, work as school teachers. They say thrill-seeking seemed to come naturally to Chris.
Christopher was very, very rambunctious, very energetic, on the go all the time. The neighbors would see me running after him, whether he was on a bike, whether he was running.
As he got a little bit older and things became a little bit more higher and faster and longer, we attempted to control it in some respects, but in the end, basically he did what he wanted to do, and we ended up having to just support that.
Researchers struggle to understand how kids like Chris are wired. What propels them to risk their lives for a euphoric rush of adrenaline?
So one of the theories is that a certain subset of people are born with a higher threshold of thrill-seeking. They need much more dangerous circumstances in order to elicit the same level of satisfaction or reward that other people may be able to elicit with something much more mild.
Always like to get the most excitement out of everything that I did, then have to do something a little faster, do something a little bigger to get that same excitement, so it was a progression.
After 7 concussions, Chris has just started to wear a helmet when he hits Mount Seymour for a film shoot 8 years ago.
It was a beautiful sunny day. Everyone was out having a good time.
Here you go, buddy. You got the cooler ready?
It's a good little guy. You want some?
Everyone was just having a blast. I mean, it was warm. Everyone was riding in their T-shirts. Hey, Dev!
Chris's close friend, Devin Walsh, is among the riders.
There was only one kind of bad part about the jump was there were some trees you had to stop before on the ride out, but they were small trees, so no one was too worried about it, you know.
We were having a good session, you know, everyone was doing all right, you know, and no one was really falling that hard.
So no one is prepared for what would happen on Chris's final jump of the day.
3, 2, 1. Chicken rip, stuff as he landed.
It was such a great shot. He was riding out and kind of lost it right in one of the bumps.
Oh!
It went into a flip into one of the trees.
Oh!
He was out. And everyone rushed down to him, and yeah, he was out cold.
buddy. Do your legs and feet feel okay, Chris? Okay.
It went from like such a high to such a low in, literal seconds.
Dr. Brian Hunt is the neurosurgeon on duty when Chris arrives at the hospital.
Chris suffered a really serious injury. This isn't just simple concussion. He had actual bruising with bleeding into the brain.
A brain scan reveals what's known as a contra coup head trauma.
The brain bounces away from the skull and then bounces back against the skull and rebounds, and that causes more damage.
Even though Chris struck the back of his head, it's the frontal lobes that absorb the brunt of the impact.
And if he'd not been wearing his helmet, that would have been just massive.
Well, if we found out about the accident, we got into our car and we drove. And I know I drove, but that's all I know.
I don't think Tony said any more than a half a dozen words to me. We were both sort of thinking about what we would see, what would we hear.
All I recall is stopping outside the hospital and walking in the front doors. Obviously, it was very emotional. It's still emotional to think about it now. We were taken up to the ICU, and he was in ICU. It was a padded enclosure.
I remember peering in from the outside because we weren't allowed in. Were the padded walls, padded floor. Christopher was sort of writhing around on the mattress on the floor.
We weren't able to touch him. He was in the middle of this thing.
And you knew that Christopher was in pain. And we hoped somehow we could let him know that we were there for him.
We could just stand there and look at him. That was all. When we met Dr. Hunt, well, obviously we asked him what was the prognosis, what was the outcome, what sort of things could we be looking at?
Dr. Hunt was extremely angry. He wasn't meaning to blame Christopher's accident on us, but it sort of sounded like that. Why did you let him go into snowboarding? Why didn't you take more care in what he was doing?
I am angry, in a way, not so much at the child or at the parents, but more with the situation. People are pushing the envelope and going beyond the bounds of what the body can take.
A major U.S. study concludes extreme sports is fueling an epidemic of brain injuries. Already the leading cause of death and permanent disability for men under 35. In the hospital, the agonizing wait for Chris to regain consciousness continues. His father keeps a journal.
Sitting around just thinking as I wrote this, just some questions to myself. Where does the blame lie? Is there blame here? Whose fault is it? Parents make decisions for the kids. Helpless.
I just wanted him to be whole. I never, ever thought that he wouldn't make it because he's such a fighter. He's as stubborn as anything. And if anything else, that would get him through.
My first memory after my accident was waking up in the hospital when it was pitch black out. It was nighttime. I had no idea where I was. There's no one around. It was like a ghost town. It's like I was watching myself in a movie almost. It's super scary, when you don't really understand where you are and why you're there and why they keep you there. And that's when, head trauma can affect you because you can get angry very easily.
Christopher complained all the time that we were there of a horrendous headache, of course, as the result of the concussion.
I tried to leave the hospital multiple times, just get up and walk out, and then they wouldn't let me leave.
He was fighting everybody. He was fighting the nurses. He was fighting to get out of there. I hate being in here. And Dr. Hunt said, fine, let him go.
Well, Chris was advised that he should go home, rest, until his symptoms had subsided.
After the injury, basically, I wasn't able to drive for 3 months, so it was a lot of hanging out in my bubble still, my dreamland. It's like a deja vu feeling all the time. Everything's just like a little out of place.
He wasn't the same Chris, I guess is the best way to say it is. He was clearly different.
People will use the word scrambled, and actually that's a very good term, because the brain cells are mixed up, trying to get back to talking to one another again.
It was a difficult time for him to accept what had gone on. He never really talked about it, but I think he understood that this was the end of his snowboard career.
Chris is a really happy person, and that was not a happy time for him.
It's months before the constant fatigue and headaches stop and Chris's memory begins to sharpen. A year after the accident, his thoughts turn back to the slopes.
I wanted my life back of what I remembered, what I loved to do. Just to be able to have a feeling of going out and filming again.
He called me one night around about 10 o'clock and he says, "Listen, Dad, I can't do this anymore. I've got to go back to snowboarding." And I thought, God, what am I going to say now?
Tony suggested that Christopher go and see Dr. Hunt to get a medical okay that he could go back, thinking exactly that he would probably say to Christopher, well, it's probably not a good idea that you ever go back to snowboarding.
Well, he called me back a week later and says, "I just come back from Dr. Hunt's office." And we had a long conversation and he said, "I can go back to snowboarding."
I said, look, I know your parents are concerned. I know they're not particularly happy with my decision, but I don't see any reason why you can't go back to your snowboarding career. But I want a deal. I said, I want you to become a spokesperson, and I want you to encourage all youngsters to wear helmets and to follow your role.
Dr. Hunt said within moderation, which was the key, you can go back. Well, he didn't hear the moderation part.
It's like taking away a limb. Snowboarding's my life. So I'm very lucky.
He's running on his 10th life right now, or 9th life, or whatever. I think without snowboarding in his life, he just wouldn't be a happy person.
But what drives young men to risk their lives in the first place? Genes and testosterone are only part of the story. Neuroscientist Kalina Christoph studies the brain's prefrontal cortex.
The prefrontal cortex is the part of the brain that gives us the ability to reason, remember, and also plan for the future. It also is very tightly linked to impulsive or risk-taking behavior.
Using MRI technology to map brain activity, scientists now know the brain's prefrontal lobes do not fully develop until the mid-20s. It's believed this phenomenon further stokes the brain's adrenaline-fueled reward system, which is in high gear by adolescence.
So that puts adolescents at a double risk in a way. First, they don't yet have the fully mature prefrontal cortex to stop them from engaging in impulsive behaviors. And second, they actually have an overactive system that pushes them to engage in thrill-seeking or reward-seeking behaviors.
Nearing the end of his riding career, Chris decides to undergo a neurological assessment to pinpoint any lingering problems.
I will see how good the Okanagan is, how bad it is.
I think it's a good thing. Give us some reassurance.
Maybe you'll find out something you don't want to find out.
I'd rather know.
Okay?
Face it head on, right? You always did.
I didn't really know what was happening, I guess, and then I woke up 2 weeks later and I was in the hospital and I thought I was still dreaming. The nurse told me, yeah, you had a serious head injury, and right when she said that, I just felt like my brain wanted to escape from my head, and I just felt it going dun 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 and pulsing.
John Gosher is a talented snowboarder who is hoping to turn thrill-seeking into a job.
People call John a thrill seeker because he pushes the limits of snowboarding. John surprised you when you went out there every time.
Like many riders, John hits the pavement in the summer. He was among more than 100 skateboarders who gathered for an annual ride around Stanley Park.
The cruise is not a race, it's just fucking have some fun.
I think it was the 7th annual longboard meetup. All these longboarders just having the best time of their lives.
Like just about everyone else that day, John wasn't wearing a helmet.
It's like hundreds of people bombing it down the straightaway, and this rollerblader popped out of nowhere, and he turned into me, so boom, I hit.
John is going more than 30 kilometers an hour when his head hits the road.
I was like in the most relaxed state I've ever been in, and they said my breath was like 4 times every minute. And then I remember being like, wow, the stream is heavy.
John's doctor is George Hahn, a leading specialist in traumatic brain injuries.
He arrived deeply unconscious. He had already accumulated a significant amount of blood between the brain and the skull, and that situation progressively leads to increased pressure that needs to be dealt with straight away in the operating room.
John is already out of surgery by the time his parents, Cengiz and Izgi, make it to the hospital.
And I was in shock. And so were you. Like,
We were both.
I mean, God, how could that happen to us? Like, is there a mistake here?
I felt like as a mother, I failed him. And I was angry at him because he's doing extreme sports and he's not using helmet. We wanted to touch him and we've been told not to touch him. We wanted to talk to him, and again we've been told not to talk to him because he may get excited.
Almost a week passes before John shows signs of regaining consciousness.
He tried to open his eyes, and nurse didn't see that, but I realized that he's trying to communicate with me, and she came and she told John, squeeze my hand, and he did it.
Felt like I was just this new baby, and here I come into this second life. That's kind of what it felt like.
Then I said, thank God, he's alive, he's getting conscious, and he's gonna be all right.
John is like thousands of other young men who post videos on the internet hoping to score a sponsor.
YouTube is making the sport progress really, really fast. Like every snowboarder who goes out and loves it that much is trying to get sponsored. John always threw down harder than anybody else.
I know I've seen some stuff on there that like is just some kids, amateur guys filming it, and there's some of the craziest crashes you've ever seen.
Oh! Oh my God!
Yeah, it's scary because a lot of these kids, like, their balls are bigger than their brains, you know?
Zeke, what the fuck? This business of YouTube activity, filming themselves, is a very dangerous way that we're going. Many of the kids that watch people like professionals like Chris Duffy and so on have no idea of the years and the various training that the professionals go into.
Get up, dude. Dude, yeah, no, bro. Get up. Stop watching anymore, dude.
I don't see the point in feeling sorry for myself. Not like I can undo the accident or anything.
John will not be the same person. He will have, hopefully, as normal a life as someone with a severe frontal injury can be assisted toward having.
The crash leaves John with damage to his frontal lobes, the part of the brain that enables people to form thoughts, use tools, access memories, and control impulsive behavior. Damage to the frontal lobes can lead to a lack of self-awareness. The challenge for John's rehab team is to convince him another blow would be devastating or even deadly.
The injury in his brain is still fresh, so, we have to educate him on what he can't do and how he has to live his life now, at least for the next year.
He's a good shot. Yeah.
Called it.
I called it. A lot of times people lose some of the activities, recreation activities that are really meaningful for them. And like John's not supposed to skateboard or snowboard. So that's what recreation therapy is about, is, finding new identities.
This is the reconstruction of John, right here.
Physically, he had made a very promising recovery. So in short, my concern with John at that point was really more with respect to what would his future higher order functions be like.
So how's your day going so far?
Yeah, good.
Do you remember what we're going to do today?
We're going to conquer these oatmeal chocolate chip cookies.
That's right. And just try to follow these directions on your own.
All right.
What are you looking for?
Not exactly sure.
For John, he loses his attention, his memory, doesn't really remember, and also problem solve through more complicated activities.
Flour?
Okay, where would you find flour?
I guess with the sugar?
My memory's kind of like I just had a dream, and it was like a couple days ago, and I just can't retrieve that. But when I do, and like when I get like an extra hint or something, it's like it was right in front of me the whole time, and I was staring right at it.
I guess that's just regular flour.
By providing John with different situations and increasing his memory and improve his attention will hopefully lead him in the direction of recovery faster.
Cream, butter, and sugar in a mixing bowl.
John's parents are told he may face challenges holding down a job in the future.
They were trying to make us prepared for the worst case kind of a scenario. And we are not denying those possibilities, but we are wishing and we are hoping and we are concentrating on the positive side.
These cookies are going to be good.
Once we started comparing John with the past, the way he was before, then that wasn't going to be giving us a very good feeling.
I think I might get into cooking. Pretty fun.
That's artistic.
I kind of look at it as like a roller coaster ride, and just waiting to get to the end of the roller coaster. Like, there's gonna be ups and downs, like that's just how it goes, but I'm pretty confident that I will get to the end of the ride and be happy with what I've got.
We're gonna go see how my noggin is after all the years of battery. A little nervous. Don't know what to really anticipate.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Hi, you're Chris.
Yes, I am.
Hi, I'm Ursula Wild.
Nice to meet you.
I see a lot of people, and as you may know, they're often referred to as the walking wounded. They really are not aware of the brain injury, or nobody has given them any education or information. What I'm focusing on today is attention, concentration, learning, memory, problem-solving skills. So it covers a whole range. Okay, tell me what this is. Read this, write it down. Okay, draw the face of a clock. Find all the bells. Go. What is this?
Key 321.
I call the closed head injury as an invisible epidemic because it's very possible that people have brain injuries and they don't know it.
Chris symbolizes this invisible epidemic by the fact that his looks like a physical disability because of the way he walks and shakes. I don't think that they realize that it is the brain.
Chris Tootin grew up in Powell River. He hung out with the crowd that was always hunting for something crazy to do.
Kids like me do a lot of risky things because they can.
Chris has always been fearless. Yeah, I was expecting a phone call or something in the middle of the night. A little nervous.
In February 2003, Chris was looking for a new thrill when he bought an old dirt bike for $20.
I jump-started it down the hill.
The big hill up there?
Yeah.
He forgets to put on his helmet when he takes the bike out for a quick test drive.
Then I just ripped off.
So why did you go down here then?
The throttle was stuck.
Chris is going more than 50 kilometers an hour when he crashes through his neighbor's home.
I guess this is a step I had to go through. Beginning.
Deep breath.
Not as bad as I thought I was going to feel. Probably because it's fixed up a bit. It changed all of our lives. Changed yours mostly, I understand, but everyone else's too.
Chris's cerebellum is severely damaged in the crash. Latin for little brain, it's the central processor, critical to all the body's major systems.
Quite frankly, I could have died. It could have stopped my heart, could have stopped my lungs, and I would have been like dead.
I knew it was bad because he was in the coma, and then I was just praying for him to be alive at first. And then when he made it through all the critical stuff, then you pray that he's not going to end up just a vegetable.
Chris spends more than a year in the rehabilitation hospital. He struggles to relearn life's most basic skills.
Nobody really can tell you anything because nobody really knows exactly what the outcome's going to be.
Chris is told his severe ataxia, or shaking, will prevent him from ever walking again.
I was an active guy before. Like, I was on the major B team for Powell River. So all that kind of ended. Quite often, I wanted to get up, walk to the washroom, but I couldn't. I didn't like having to wear diapers. At the age of 17, wasn't my thing.
Linda is forced to move the family to Courtney, where there's more services for Chris.
Oh, that's a pretty good power walk.
With the help of support workers like Ian Cameron, Chris continues to exceed everyone's expectations but his own.
I was never supposed to walk again. So I'm far surpassed the doctors saying I could do.
He's not settling for this is the way it's going to be. And, considering where he came from after the accident and being bedridden and in a wheelchair and now, and possibly not walking, and he's up and he's walking and he's working out and he's still reaching for more. Do you ever come in here for lunch very often?
Like many people who suffer permanent brain damage, Chris's personality has changed in ways he may not be aware.
Right down there, eh? One of the challenges that individuals with this kind of injury have is they're very impulsive.
Would you like to know our specialty?
No, I would like to know your phone number, though.
When they have an idea to do something, they want to do it right then and there without necessarily thinking through the consequences.
The sweetest meatballs with the side of you. Well, you're fired. You're fired. I would like another waitress.
No, you don't.
Yeah?
Well, I'll see what I can do then.
She kind of maybe didn't quite know how to take you because she doesn't know you, and you said some things that were, pretty forward and
pretty suggestive.
Pretty suggestive, yeah. And does that mean that you can just, talk to anybody however you want without thinking about how they might feel? Or do you care?
Pretty much, no.
You don't really care?
No. It doesn't particularly bother me if they like me or not.
Right.
I don't think that he can process these emotions that he goes through. There's got to be a lot of fear.
Daily life.
When Chris is around with the kids here, he torments them so much it becomes very disruptive.
And like George.
No, he did.
Sean, also move over. I'm gonna share that spot with you.
You move over there.
I was thinking
They should shut up so he can watch the show.
He can make them pretty mad.
I'm Sean.
This is what you're doing. This is what I want to do.
Shut your mouth anyway, buddy.
Well, after his brain injury, he became very violent very quickly. We ended up having to call the cops on him one night to send him up to his bedroom because he just totally was getting out of control.
I'm bullied at home by you. So just relax. I'm going to get supper ready here for you.
Oh, I've been told it's been rough on a lot of people, not just my mom.
I felt like because of the violence that I had to move him out. Well, grab your stuff.
No.
Let's go.
No.
I got a meeting, so we got to...
5 more minutes.
I don't have 5 minutes. Let's roll. You got your tip? If something happens to your child and you got all your friends and everything, they're all there to help you out at the beginning. Got it? But a brain injury is such a long, drawn-out process that everyone starts slipping away and getting into their own lives again. And you're kind of left holding the bag all by yourself. So are you going to have a beef bowl?
No, I'm gonna have the spaghetti.
Okay, it's baby steps for me. Now, I'll give you a call later on. It's just as hard for me to let go as it is for him to be doing it on his own.
Hopefully not.
We'll see you tomorrow. But if I don't let him do it on his own, then, like I say, when I'm gone, I don't know what he'll do then.
Chris Defasy steps into his role as a safety advocate by meeting other casualties of the extreme dream.
Hello,
what's going on, dude?
How you doing?
Oh, yeah, good.
So I hear you're getting discharged today.
Yeah, it is a big day, man.
Nice. So how long have you been in here for?
Week 3 now.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's quite some time, so it's kind of a little bit blurry.
Yeah.
Kind of like really foggy right now.
It's like everything I retrieve in my memory is like a dream.
Yeah. Very foggy, very just surreal, definitely. Hanging out with John just, brings me back to thinking of how severe my accident was. I know it's kind of weird, and kind of like you're going to be out of it for a while, but at the same time, it's just like you'll get things back. I think it's just uncertainty, you know, knowing what's going to happen in the future. I'm trying to tell him the things that I wanted to know at certain times. Because I went through something like this, I find that, you know, it's my responsibility to go around and help and be an advocate for helmets, you know. I also wear mouth guards, so now I'm passing the torch to you too. You gotta tell your friends too, you know.
Oh, I will spread it.
You know,
I don't want anyone to go through what I went through.
Exactly.
But just days after being released, following doctor's orders doesn't seem to be a priority.
This right here is it's a drop-in ramp to do snowboard handrails. Triangle base there where you can strap in and then you go.
Part of the mechanism of a brain injury is to deny injury. Denial of injury is one of the symptoms that comes with frontal lobe injury.
I'd rather be doing what I love than doing something I don't love. It's tragic, but I love snowboarding and there's nothing I can do about it.
Here you are, guys.
Thank you.
My understanding was you were going to wait for a year. And now that you're saying you're going to be snowboarding, I'm worried.
Was it really though?
Was it really what?
Your understanding?
Yeah, honestly. I thought
What?
you're going to be filming
What
that.
gave you that impression?
Well, I remember asking you when you started building this, I said, what are you doing? And you said, I'm doing it, you know, a ramp for snowboarders. And I said, you're not going to snowboard. And you said, well, it's not for me, it's for my friends. I'm going to be filming them.
I'm not going to be doing this for the whole season though.
So was I wrong? Like my understanding was wrong?
Yeah.
He's addicted to this snowboarding thing. That's why people cannot stop it. Because that excitement, that challenge, that achievement gives him a great satisfaction. And we need to understand that. It's us who has to understand that.
It really makes me very depressed, to tell you the truth. I don't know how to reach him. I don't know how to protect him. And I'm very worried.
Do you think that I'll be less likely to injure myself if more people tell me it's going to happen? My drive through my recovery has been knowing that I'm going to be riding some fresh white stuff in December. That's been helping me through every day.
To be John's friend and know that he's had a bad head injury and that he wants to get right back on his board is pretty tough because he doesn't probably realize that it's not for the best right now.
He just gave me a shout saying, yeah, meet me down at the boardroom and we'll take it from there.
Johnny boy.
How's it
What's up,
going,
my man? How you doing?
Yeah, good. Yourself?
Good to see you again. What's up, man? Chris.
Edwin.
Nice to meet you, my man. Oh, goodness.
Chris is concerned about John's plans to hit the slopes just a few months after his accident. If John won't take advice, Chris hopes he'll at least take a helmet.
Alrighty. Looks like you came to the right place. Just sit you up.
Yeah.
Try that on. Medium. You go back right away, you hurt yourself, you're never gonna be able to snowboard again. You wait 6 months, you get sober for the rest of your life. Like, you're 20 and like 6 months of your life, you're gonna forget about it, you know?
Yeah, I could see myself wearing this on the slopes.
Yeah, it looks really good on you, man.
Stopped.
Chris, there you are again. Come on in.
Thank you.
It's been just about a week that you came for testing, right?
Yeah.
Before I tested you, you told me that you had 8 concussions. And that's a little bit like dropping your cell phone 8 times from various angles. But the last one, somewhere nasty onto concrete,
Yeah.
right? And you wouldn't quite know what it did to it because it's all inside.
Yeah.
That's not unlike concussions and brain injury, okay? And you have done marvelous.
The assessment suggests Chris is still experiencing some problems.
When too much verbal information comes at you all at once, you probably will find that you only get this much. And it was really this much, so you have a gap there.
Yeah. Almost gets to the point where I'll be talking about a certain subject for a while, then I'll just kind of forget about what I was talking about.
Yeah.
When I sit down, like, to watch a movie, I'll watch the whole movie, and then I'll get to the end, and I'll just remember the end. I'm just like, whoa, like, what did I just watch for the first hour and a half?
It definitely takes courage. I think that often these people deep down also know that things are just not quite as they should be. So there comes also with it the hope of finding out what's going wrong. You are intelligent, so feel good about that. It's really how you can use that intelligence that sometimes gets affected.
I definitely want to come back and learn all these like different techniques for learning. And
I think that's a very good idea because you can learn to use strategies. It's always very difficult. Nobody wants to know that they've had a brain injury and that it's left them with problems.
as of right now, I've been self-diagnosing myself for quite some time, which means questioning myself on the way that I am, the way that I think, the way that I do things. So it I don't know, I'm drained.
Like the blind leading the blind, eh? Are we leaving the mustache or taking that off?
Taking off.
Oh, here, a couple hairs there. Turn the other way. My, what a fine looking fellow.
What's up, man? You must be Chris.
Yeah, you must be Chris.
Easy to remember the name, hey?
Not hard.
How you doing, bud?
Good yourself.
Very good, my man. Let's do this.
Chris Duffy accepts an invitation to visit Chris Tootin, who has joined a campaign to promote helmet use in schools.
Oh, I've been here.
This must be the other Chris.
Yes.
Hey, nice to meet you, Chris. I'm Corey. I'm going to introduce you. This is Dave Hansen, and this is Helen Tomaszewski. Hi. And Peggy's your concussion buddy. Peggy heard that you had 7 concussions. She goes, oh, that's nothing. I got 9. 11. Oh, 11. Oh, gosh. And then...
Count the major ones.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I was just being competitive.
Through personal stories, Team Terrific hopes to reach the target audience, young males.
Guest with us today. Chris Duffy is at the beginning of our lineup there. Some of you guys may know Chris. He's a snowboarder. Chris has also had the luxury of knocking his noggin one too many times.
Hey, guys. I've gone through snowboarding my whole life, loving it, but I'm prone to injury. I've hurt everything on my body, but the worst thing has been my concussions. I would take a broken arm over a concussion any day. Bones heal, your brain doesn't. So you guys gotta realize that and just be safe. That's all.
So, Chris is going to talk to us about his story.
Now, who would sleep? I think that kid was, and that kid, I'm gonna tell you what happened.
We always get a big when Chris tells the part of his story about riding that motorbike, realizing he had no brakes.
I went down the hill no brakes, and went right into the end of the trailer.
They can see that Chris is a really cool, happening kind of guy. Now they see how his life is affected. It's huge.
And if you look carefully, I'm wearing diapers. What I often ask students at schools is, would you rather look cool for a little while, not wear a helmet, or wear diapers? Which is more embarrassing? Wear diapers down here, wear a helmet up here. Make your choice. I never really heard about brain injuries before. And if I had, I might have been a bit safer. I hope you guys face reality and realize that helmets aren't to keep your parents happy, to keep the police happy. They're to save you from having to go through that. And let me tell you, it's hell.
Thanks, Chris.
The experience leaves Chris Duffy with a heightened sense of responsibility.
Walking around with Chris Tootin at the school, I saw a kid and what's up with that guy, and what's the deal with him? And it's just, they're young, they have no idea. They have no idea what happened to him, what he's gone through.
Come on now. I need a picture.
It just feels that, maybe I should kind of step up and take the responsibility a little stronger on my own part, because I'm in a situation to do something like that right now.
Chris, it's nice to meet you, man. Thank you for everything.
Yeah, you too.
Let's keep in touch.
Talk to you later.
All right, my man.
Yeah.
Researchers think a better understanding of the young male mind should change the way society sanctions risk-taking behavior.
I do believe that there is a very large underappreciation of the potential harm that a brain injury can do, and also there's an underappreciation of the ease with which brain injury can occur.
I like that with that board that way.
Chris is one of the few sponsored snowboarders committed to making a helmet part of the image.
3, 2, 1, drop it.
I want the kids growing up who are learning how to snowboard to wear helmets. Everyone that I ride with, that I film with, they've already made their own decisions. It's the kids that are coming up that I'm able to, inspire.
Chris has done extremely well. But for the few Chris Duffys that come back from such a serious injury, there's a whole number of individuals out there that suffer permanent injury and it affects their lifetime forever.
What people need to know about a brain injury is you can definitely survive it, but it can take the life that you're used to away.
This film is hopefully going to bring the serious injuries to light. The experience that I've had dealing with this documentary has opened my eyes even though I ride all the time and I've been riding for 20 years. Whether you want to believe it or not, or accept it or not, the part of the brain that develops up until you're 25 years old is the part that helps you make sensible decisions and control controls impulsive behavior and things of that nature. And maybe it would be a great idea for kids to get used to wearing their helmets early so that it just becomes part of the sport.